Hey everyone, welcome back to Genai's World News. I'm Genai, and we are kicking things off today with a major development in global currency markets. Both the Financial Times and BBC News are reporting that the United States and Japan have taken the unusual step of jointly intervening in currency markets to support the Japanese yen. This kind of coordinated action between the two allies is genuinely rare, and it's sending a clear signal to traders around the world. According to the Financial Times, Japan's Finance Minister Satsuki Katayama confirmed the joint action with Washington, describing it as a necessary response to what officials are calling disorderly movements in the currency. The yen had been under sustained pressure, and policymakers clearly decided enough was enough. BBC News adds that both governments have gone a step further, warning markets that this won't be a one-time thing. They've said explicitly that they will not hesitate to conduct joint interventions again in the future if conditions demand it. That's a pretty strong message. Now, why does this matter beyond currency traders staring at screens? The FT's analysis is a sobering reminder that climate change isn't just an environmental talking point. It's a balance sheet issue for governments and insurers across the continent. With the summer far from over, that €3 billion figure is almost certainly going to climb higher before the season ends. Now to a deeply concerning political story out of the Middle East. The Financial Times is reporting on growing fears within Israel about the integrity of the country's upcoming election. With Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu trailing in opinion polls, a coalition of civil society groups and opposition figures has established what they're describing as a dedicated war room, specifically set up to monitor and guard against any attempts to manipulate or undermine the democratic process. The FT describes a political climate of real anxiety, with many Israelis worried about what extraordinary measures the current government might pursue in order to hold on to power. This comes against a backdrop of significant judicial and institutional changes that critics say have already weakened democratic checks and balances in Israel. Now, it's important to be clear, the FT is reporting on these concerns and fears, not alleging that fraud has occurred. But the fact that organized groups feel the need to stand up a formal election monitoring operation of this kind speaks volumes about the current political atmosphere in the country. Elections are foundational. When confidence in the fairness of voting starts to erode, in any democracy, the consequences ripple far beyond one election cycle. This is a story with enormous implications, not just for Israel, but for regional stability and for Israel's relationships with its Western partners. Switching now to diplomacy and energy markets. Both BBC News and the Financial Times are covering a significant development in U.S.-Iran relations. President Trump has indicated that a new round of nuclear negotiations with Tehran could begin as early as this Monday, a signal that sent oil prices sliding on global markets. According to the Financial Times, there's also been a reported deal brokered through Oman that could potentially reopen the Strait of Hormuz to normal shipping. The Strait of Hormuz, for those who need a quick geography refresher, is one of the world's most critical energy choke points. Roughly a fifth of all global oil supply passes through those waters. Any threat to it sends energy prices soaring. Any easing of that threat does the opposite. BBC News adds an important note of caution, though. Tehran has not confirmed that new talks are imminent, and the outlet points out that Trump has previously declared a negotiated resolution was close, only for military strikes to resume shortly after. So the optimism needs to be tempered with the reality of a very complicated diplomatic track record. Oil traders are watching this extremely carefully. If a genuine, verifiable agreement takes shape, the market impact could be substantial. But in this particular diplomatic saga, the gap between announcements and actual deals has historically been very wide. A tragic development now from Greece, where the already grueling fight against wildfires has turned deadly in a new and heartbreaking way. BBC News is reporting that two firefighting helicopters collided while battling blazes in Greece, killing 2 crew members, 1 Danish national and 1 Greek national. 2 other crew members survived the crash, including a British pilot. The collision is a devastating reminder of just how dangerous aerial firefighting operations are, especially when multiple aircraft are working in close proximity over active fire zones, often in reduced visibility from smoke and challenging mountain terrain. Greece has been one of the hardest-hit countries in this year's European wildfire season, tying directly back to that €3 billion cost figure we discussed earlier. The country has been relying heavily on both domestic and international aviation resources to contain fires that have been burning across multiple regions. Our thoughts are with the families of the crew members who lost their lives. This is an incredibly high human cost being paid by the people on the front lines of the climate crisis, and it deserves to be acknowledged alongside the economic headlines. And finally, let's head to the United Kingdom for a notable political shift. The Financial Times is reporting that the Labour Party has pulled ahead of Reform UK in national opinion polls for the first time in over a year. Labour now sits at around 25% of the vote, according to the latest polling data covered by the FT. This comes as Andy Burnham, who won Labour's leadership following a turbulent period for the party, has been on a high-profile campaign trail with a message centered on, in his words, bringing back hope. The FT connects this polling rebound partly to Burnham's public profile and partly to broader disillusionment with Reform UK's trajectory. Now, one poll does not a general election make, and British politics has been exceptionally volatile over the past few years. Reform UK, led by Nigel Farage, rose dramatically on an anti-establishment wave, so seeing Labour edge back ahead is a meaningful data point. But analysts will want to see the trend confirmed across multiple polls before drawing firm conclusions. Also worth noting in the UK economic picture, the Financial Times is separately reporting that graduate job openings in the UK have fallen to their lowest level since the pandemic, which gives Burnham's economic messaging a very real and urgent backdrop as he tries to consolidate Labour's recovery. And that's a wrap on today's Global Briefing. An enormous amount happening across the world right now, from currency interventions to corporate mega deals, wildfire crises to election integrity battles. If you found this valuable, hit that like button, subscribe to Genai's World News, and ring the bell so you never miss a briefing. I'll see you in the next one.